Hello there, everybody. Chief Meteorologist Andrea Michaels here with another on Cloud43 where we talk the forecast, and unlike the 2 to 3 minutes we get during our newscast to talk weather, we take our time, we dive deep, we chat, and we ask questions. How's everyone's holiday weekend been? I'll try to pull up my stream, but it's been having some problems loading it in a way that lets me see comments and whatnot. Okay, here we go. I don't know. It's been a little tricky here. I'm trying to see. So if you are around, just say hello so that I can see if any comments pop up so I can try to follow along, or at least find a format or a way Facebook's going to let me do this nonsense now. Not nonsense. Fun stuff, though. It's nonsense what they're doing to me. Let me clarify there. But yes. Come on, come on. Oh, boy. Hello. I'm going to just type hello and see if anything pops up here. All right, there we go. I see a comment. Hopefully more will just magically start popping up. But yes, we're going to talk the forecast here. Obviously an extended holiday weekend, and what's just been such a wonderful and a lovely stretch of weather, and the coolest it's been yet, particularly on Saturday. We obviously rebounded nicely, and we're not nearly as cool today, although we did get another chilly start across many spots. That for sure. That was something, let me tell you. Let's see, maybe if I try to make this wide. Oh, hey, okay. No, not quite, Facebook. Man, giving me some problems here. Not cool, Facebook. All right, well, oh my goodness. I'll try to work through it, I guess, and do the best that I can do with it. Oh, I see comments. Oh, there we go, there we go. Woohoo! Oh, man, sometimes if you just bother it enough, I'm a person where I just restart until things work. Persistence pays off, guys. Never take no for an answer. I'm very stubborn like that. Hi, Jason. How are you? How much rain are you going to be receiving on Thursday? You're out at the Selinsgrove Speedway for some late model action. That's today you're there, or are you going there on Thursday? I believe you meant you're there right now. And you know what? I hope you're having a great time because the weather is awesome. We will talk Thursday. We definitely need the rain. Right now, it's a little up in the air how much rain we get, but, I mean, it'll definitely be a decent amount, a nice little soaking, but not as much as I would like. I think bare minimum, it's looking like 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch of rainfall. I'm a little reluctant to say the higher end right now just because the area of low pressure will be passing in the Great Lakes region, and usually when we see that, that usually doesn't equate to, sorry, let me get comfortable here, that doesn't usually equate to a big rain for us. But there's at least some possibility. I think 1/4 of an inch to maybe 3/10 of an inch certainly isn't going to be bad. How cold will it be in Port Royal Speedway at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday? 7 p.m. Saturday. That's a little bit of a tough thing to answer, being so far out an hourly temperature like that. But based on my forecast, which I said right now, and we'll talk about how this might be a changeable forecast, but Saturday it'd be a little breezy and temperatures during the afternoon in the high 70s. So I think it's very possible that you'll be in the 60s by then. You said what? Oh, 7:30. Never mind. Excuse me. I thought you said 9:30. I think low 70s, it won't be terrible. Worst case scenario, like warmest case scenario, is going to be low 70s. And I think, coolest case scenario, you'll be in the 60s. We'll talk about that. That's one of the little predicaments in the forecast. The question is, how quickly will the next cool burst of air slide in? And is it possibly showing signs that it's going to be getting delayed a day or so? But we'll touch upon that. But, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a bad one. Love the orange, Mike. Just in time for pumpkin spice season. I'm busting out those fall colors already. I like my fall colors for some reason. I don't know. The muted yellows and the muted oranges, or the fall yellow golds and fall oranges. They're in my palette. They're in my color palette. Blues and greens are my best, by far, for sure. And I love green. It's my favorite. But, yeah. Hello, Greg from Lancaster. Hello, Jonathan. Good to see you all. You'll be at Juniata County Fair for the 59th annual Tuscarora 50, Jason. That's awesome. That's a good time for sure. Hi, Richard. My weekend is going great. It's been a busy one. It was a little chaotic, a little crazy today. I had the Hanover chili cook-off, but then my poor little child busted her head open, like right about here in the hairline, and needed 6 stitches. So that was fun. I ended up at the ER for a few hours, and then I came right here, and it's just been a wild day going all over York County and whatnot, but no worries. He's okay. Or she's okay, sorry. She's okay. Looking at Jonathan and looking at him say Mike, noticing who Mike is, and I'm just laughing to myself, sorry. Yes. But yeah. Oh, Mike, Jonathan asked you if you're excited for the MK collection. I think the answer to that already is most definitely yes. Anywho, so hopefully everybody's had a great Labor Day weekend. Obviously still a little bit more to go, so we'll get into the forecast now and talk about it since we got the little introductions and hellos and whatnot aside. I mean, it's going to be more seasonal now. We're definitely past the coolest point of this stretch. That was yesterday. Harrisburg's official high was 74. I believe the low was 51. But most spots were in the 40s. KMDT is just one of those locations that do tend to run a little milder. I think mostly because it's positioning close to the river. That does have some influence, especially if a wind's out of the south or the southwest. But yes, near 80 again Tuesday. The dry conditions continue. This is what I'm happy to see right here. Woo! A little raindrop icon, because guess what? We need the rain, and we are going to talk about that too. Yeah, they will heal fast. Well, not for whatever reason. I know now why, but they're not dissolvable stitches, I guess because of how big it was. So hopefully it heals fast. In a week, hopefully we get those things pulled out. But yeah. You had some fire calls. I did see one of your posts about the fire calls this past weekend, Jason. So I guess I take that, obviously things are pretty dry. I'll have an updated look at the drought monitor. It's nothing to write home about, but we are starting to see signs that we've just been too dry now at this point for too long. Maybe a few early morning showers Friday. We'll talk about the timing of this next system and some secondary pushes of cool air that are going to try to slip on in, and that might lead to a delay in the next cool air mass. I'll talk a little bit about what I had for my forecast yesterday, which reminds me I should probably get that out for reference. I keep track of it all. This is yesterday's, and then obviously what I decided to do today based on the data that came in. I highlighted all. I've got my own system. It works for me. Color coded. I'm a little I don't know the word for it. We'll say particular. I'm a little particular about the way I do things and my systems in life. But yes, cooler air coming in. Maybe briefly as cool as we were yesterday, but there might be some signs that cool air might have a hard time getting in and staying in too long this time around, and that some warmth is ultimately going to try to build back in as we head towards the middle of September. At least it's not, it's hard to say right now, but it does look like there are some inklings. Am I talking a big warm up here? I think that's going to be difficult, but we more than likely are starting to revert back to a pattern where we'll be nearly seasonal, maybe slightly under seasonal averages next week a little bit, but mostly seasonal, and then I think we do start to pivot a little above average. But before we get there, let's focus on what's ahead and right in front of us. A beautiful Labor Day. We'll keep it going. We stay more seasonal through the middle of the week, and showers are going to make a comeback Thursday, but that is going to be later during the day. Here's a look at our current setup. We've got high pressure, good old happy high pressure, our friend right over top of us in the Great Lakes region, but the coolest stream of air has now shifted away from us. We made it to 80 degrees today in Harrisburg, so I think that's a sign that, the coolest of the air has indeed retreated. It'll still be a cool, crisp one tonight, just not nearly as cold as it was in some spots this morning. I think less of us are in the 40s. It's still going to be wonderful, and the message is still windows open. Oh, definitely windows open for sure, so don't change that. Ooh, I have an itch. But I didn't want to go like that because Oh, maybe I should have. I was afraid it would look like I was picking my nose. I wasn't, I swear. It's just, I've got short ends and they're getting in the way of my face. I will try not to let them distract me, though, any further. So we still have a lot of dry air in place, and even out to our west. So there's not going to be an immediate spike in humidity, which is good because, you know, high pressure, this one's going to slide out to the northeast and bring more of a southeast flow in. So we might get a little less dry, but not until the next cold front. We're not going to start to see some higher humidity air move in. It will be a return towards the end of the week to some of that higher humidity, but yeah, Jonathan, the dew points are mostly going to behave themselves, which is, again, what I like. I would not mind. I mean, I do like 70s. My ideal weather is like 68, 69, and partly sunny to mostly cloudy. I'll take low 70s if it's overcast, but, you know, I won't complain if it's 80 degrees and low humidity. Maybe just not full sunshine because I do overheat fast and then I get too cold fast. I can never seem to find a happy medium, but I definitely understand you. But fortunately, the increase in humidity should be brief before the next shot of cooler air that slides into the area, so of course that's good news. Here's a look at where temperatures are at the moment. You can see the warmth. I mean, this is nothing unusual, seeing the warmth in the deep south and out towards the plains, but we still have the cooler air. Notice though, very interesting here, some of the warmer air that's just kind of been working its way up into Canada. Let me see if I can just pivot here a little and show you. But yeah, take a look at that. Very interesting, isn't it? I love when I see cool stuff like that. The reason for that, of course, is the overall flow. Area of high pressure here, wrapping in around the front, big ridge of high pressure out here. Somehow the warmth is slipping its way in there, and the high pressure currently is keeping the cooler air in place over us. Fun stuff getting into weather here. So for us in the short term, tonight our temperatures are going to drop down into the 50s. Like I said, I still think we could get some spots in the high 40s. I think they'll be much more isolated though than the last few nights or so. And many nights that we had last week, I believe particularly early in the week, if memory serves me right. Sometimes it all just blends into one big blur, everybody. Tomorrow, I think, you know, Harrisburg made it to 80. I don't think it's unreasonable. Everything on paper anyway, all the numbers here look the same, and there's no reason that tells me otherwise. The days look fairly comparable by all means. Even Tuesday does as well, maybe just a touch warmer. And then Wednesday, very similar too. We might just add like a couple degrees over the next few days. Again, no big warm up. It's more so just a track back to what's considered average for this time of year, which for Harrisburg, I believe it's 82 or it's 83 now. Especially now that we get into September and October, and even November, I believe, because it's fall mostly. Those are the 3 months that our averages, both highs and lows, drop the quickest. And then they kind of level out through the winter time. You don't see them drop a whole lot, at least not as sharply. December, and then they kind of level out February or January and start to sneak back up February, and then they start to spike again pretty rapidly through the spring months, and then we level out again, and so be the cycle that goes over and over again here in PA anyway. That's typically how our seasons work here, so nothing unusual here. Okay, today's average high is 83. It is down to 82 tomorrow, though, so pretty much seasonal for the first few days of September. Nothing to complain about. I know there are folks that love that summertime warm, so there's got to be a little something for everybody. I mean, this is Pennsylvania. Whether we like it or not, we get that variability. We live in a place where it comes with the territory. Let's see, you're working on your logging site. You cut 18 loads this past week because of the low humidity. Dang, that's incredible. You're working on Sunday. Yeah, I'm working too. I'm putting the labor in this Labor Day weekend and tomorrow too. I mean, I didn't bother taking off. Jonathan, yeah, your favorite 3 months. I know, fall's my favorite too. I absolutely love it. But again, a beautiful sunny day. I'm not going to complain about this, even though yesterday was probably more my style. You know, low 70s, maybe high 60s, and some of those higher elevations. But beautiful. I mean, overall, if we were just to say, here's the lovely Labor Day forecast, nice hot hot dogs and hamburgers on the grill. I love them. Yum. We're grilling chicken though tomorrow. I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm happy. Grilled chicken. And then there'll be plenty of left over for meal prepping and whatnot the rest of the week. That's the way to do it, friends. Beautiful, and pretty much low humidity too until the end of the week ahead of our next rain chance. And you'll even notice it's not until later in the day Thursday that we do see that increase in humidity. Now the dip, depending on when the cold air gets in, or cooler, relatively speaking colder, but the cooler air trying to slide its way in, we might see if it's a little sooner, we might see this nudge up here. This is the European model, and it came in on big delay this afternoon. Granted, it's one run, but it seems like we've been trending towards warmer Friday and warmer, at least warmer than what I had on Saturday, give or take. We'll talk about the nuances here in just a second, so hold that thought, guys. It's all about setting up everything and getting us to where we're going to be. Yeah, Kathy, I love this weather. This weather is, I mean, it's amazing. I won't complain. I mean, we're spoiled. But our rain chance, I mean, it couldn't be coming at a better time because it has been a little on the dry side. Maybe not a little. It's been a good bit on the dry side. Our rain, yes. Next chance for showers. We could probably... There's been some timing back and forth and whatnot. Will it be a little closer to sunset and therefore we hold the 30 pops, or will we see a little earlier in the afternoon and maybe we can do, say, a 50, or excuse me, a 40, maybe ultimately a 50 or 60. We'll see. But I think it's a pretty solid 30 at least. And then Friday, there's a lot of uncertainty about whether or not showers linger or if the cooler air is just much more progressive and we dry out faster and bring the cool down in a little sooner. So that's kind of where I think in the extended forecast we're a little split between. It's going to be how quickly do we dry out and how quickly does the next shot of cooler air and lower humidity get in, or is it vice versa? We kind of hang on to the showers a little longer. It's going to be warmer because of that, and then the cooler, less humid air is on like a day and a half delay or so. Those are going to be some of the things I think we need to keep an eye on in the extended forecast as far as uncertainty goes. I think the next 3 days are pretty locked in, but the models are having a hard time resolving this next shot of cooler air. And I have a thought process for why that may be. A couple thoughts, but one primarily. I'll show you Futurecast though, timing it at 9 o'clock in the morning Thursday. This is our European model. And as I put that into motion, most of the day is dry. It's not until about dinner time that we're starting to get some showers in west of Harrisburg, and then afterwards some more showers scoot in. This is why I'm a little hesitant. Jason, you might remember me earlier saying I'm not so sure about the higher end of rain totals. Could we get a 1/2 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch maybe? Because look how these fronts, they just dry up as they come over the mountains, especially when your low is passing way north in the Great Lakes. It's really tough unless you get some extra or extenuating circumstances to get a decent amount of rain out of all of it, unfortunately. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, the week is still young. And something interesting, the Euro has a couple of secondary fronts coming through. It mostly gets the Friday one through dry. Maybe it just spits out a stray shower. And then it tries to bring yet another one in Saturday later in the day. I didn't put the rain chance in yet for Saturday because it's in the minority here. Our GFS and our Canadian models have a very different scenario, which I will go over in just a second. But then it dries us out, and then finally the cooler air should get in by Sunday, according to our European model. It was completely the opposite yesterday for what it's worth, and I believe to a degree this morning. I didn't save that, but I do remember we were starting to maybe go a little warmer, and even the GFS model, the American model, did have some warmer near 80-degree temps for Friday and Saturday before cooling us down Sunday. So it seemed like bumping my numbers from yesterday was the way to go. Ooh, got some more comments I've got to catch up on. My bad, guys. Jason, yeah. Ooh, that sounds good. Oh, and homemade chili and cornbread. That all sounds delicious. Thank you, Ray. Michelle, hi. Yeah, oh, Michelle, I'm sorry I missed everybody at the chili cook-off too. I was not there very long. I had gotten there, found out that they might have had to use anesthesia on Ava to give her her stitches, so I left because that's like a scary thing. Turns out they didn't end up doing it, of course, so I only got to judge one round. I don't even think I was there for an hour, and I had to skedaddle, so I'm really sorry that I missed everybody. Gosh, it was just, as a mom, it just nags at you too when you know your baby's hurt. I mean, obviously Daddy was with her, so she was never in any danger, there to hold her hand and whatnot, but as soon as I heard the possibility of anesthesia, just because it was her hairline close to her eye, it never happened though. So, but I would have been there tasting chili, thinking about Ava. It was just, you know how it is when you're being pulled in a million different directions and you want to be in two places at once, and ultimately you can't. But hopefully they'll invite me back next year. They did ask me back after last year, so hopefully we'll see. Jonathan, yes, it does seem to be the trend. Decent rain and then a day or two out of it. I mean, and it's not uncommon for, the models as you get closer to back off. Sometimes, too, you get within, say, I think it's like 48 to 36 hours, and they'll either speed up or slow down the system just to revert back in the last 24 hours. That's a trend that I've actually noticed for some time, even this past winter, which was a little annoying because it's, is my front going to be stalled, and is that morning showers / snow showers, whatever it was on whatever day, or it's just, it's a thing. And that's why, usually we wait for at least 3 runs of models, like a shift and a half, before we make any giant shifts, just because sometimes things can just go right back again. So sometimes it's a wait and see, and I kind of felt going a little warmer was the way to go, and I'll show you why. Here's the GFS model with the rain, and it does, get us some rain. The timing's pretty close. It does get some more showers in earlier in the morning, or not earlier in the morning, but maybe earlier in the afternoon. It is a little faster. It has backed down a little bit since yesterday. My husband is texting me saying a good game is happening right now. Phils, oh boy. Go Phillies. Sorry, Mets fans out there, if they happen to be anybody streaming here. So this is the same as the Canadian model. The GFS and the Canadian model are much more progressive with the front and quicker to bring in cooler air. The GFS, though, is starting to lean a little bit warmer still for Friday, so it's very possible. It's based on what I saw today, it's not impossible for low and mid 80s Friday, although I wasn't feeling so bullish so quickly. And then they bring the secondary front in a little later. It's a little more delayed, but yeah, that's really, maybe it's slower Saturday too. It's later, and then it takes its time getting through, and then we get the cooler air in. Now, regardless here, the temperature outlook does lean cooler than average in the next 6 to 10 days. So that is starting, that's what, September 6th? Yes, so September 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. So the average of those 5 days is leaning more below normal. We've got a pretty good chance, about, according to this graphic, how we read it, a 50% chance most of our area is below normal. In Mifflin County, or at least part of Mifflin County, it's more like a 70% chance. We'll zoom out here because I always do that. It's always cool to see what it looks like in the context of, a larger portion of the nation, if not the entire nation. It's more so, I think the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley are really going to be the winners of the fall air. That's just what my gut's telling me. I think we'll still run cooler than average again in the 70s. I'm just hesitant to say one of those days is like yesterday. It's not out of the question here, but it's not out of the question. I feel like it's more of a 30% chance, whereas it's like a 60% chance the other way. or I didn't math the math right, a 40% chance and then 60% chance the other way. I can do simple addition, I promise. I've done 3 levels of calculus and differential equations. I promise you I can do much better than that. And then it does lean drier, unfortunately, though, because when we get those cool shots of air, you're really not in a position to get much rain. So it looks like really Thursday, at least Thursday's system, might be our only opportunity. I'm not sold on this secondary front Saturday from the Euro just yet, as nice as that would be. But all pattern indications are dry and at least somewhat cooler than average as far as the precipitation outlook goes. We obviously do really need that rain, though, and I'm going to show you some numbers now. This is for Harrisburg International Airport. This is so far for the year. Our departure, we still have about 1.25 inches worth of excess of rain for the year so far. That's definitely not bad. It's a good place to be, but it's been shrinking, which is the problem. It's been shrinking since July, since we've done some really good catch up and then getting even a little bit of a surplus, obviously, with some of those intense, juicy thunderstorm downpours that we have gotten. I'm going to show you so far, well, not so far, this is it for the month of August. I mean, today is August 31st, and there's not going, the climate data came in, this is what the climate data says, there's not going to be a drop of rain before midnight, so we are officially 2.27 inches of rainfall behind for the month. That's what we closed in as, and that's pretty dry. I mean, sure, it's good that we managed 1.5 inches of rain, but over the course of 31 days, when you, on average, get about 3 3/4 of rainfall, that's not a good place to be. A little bit of hope, though, because I always like to, as much as I'm a pessimist, I do like to try to look at some of the more optimistic points, and that is because hurricane season, the peak of hurricane season is climatologically speaking, September 10th. So, you know, we've got some time for a tropical system to come help us out with some needed rainfall and help saturate the ground a little. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm getting dry vibes, unfortunately. Speaking of that, here's a look at the latest U.S. drought monitor. It's been a while since I've shown this because I really haven't seen much of a need to, but it is updated every Thursday, and this is what that updated map looks like. Now, obviously, this isn't cause for concern yet. It has been drier, though, abnormally dry. We've had to worry about brush fires in our higher elevation locations, especially in west and northwest of Harrisburg. But this stage, I think it's stage 0, and then moderate drought stage 1. I believe it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, and so forth, if I'm not mistaken. This is the abnormally dry category, and we're starting to see that in parts of southern and southwestern Adams County and southeastern Franklin County. Possibly including Waynesboro, possibly, although maybe it's just missing the cutoff there. Chambersburg's not included in it. And then Gettysburg is included in this, and anything to the southwest. So it's obviously very necessary to get a little bit of rainfall to help us out here. And yes, Jonathan, you're right. The tropics have been pretty quiet, except for Aaron. I didn't bother showing tropics this week like I had the last 2, maybe 3 weeks, just because it was just so quiet. There's one wave off the coast of Africa that in the next 7 days has a 30% chance of development, and even if it does, good news everybody, when you get fronts like this, they push them out to sea, so there's really no immediate danger for us on the East Coast, nor the Gulf, though. I mean, I know I did say last Sunday something about at least the next week or 2 in the tropics being quiet, and so far that is panning out. It's been very quiet, except for Fernan, I think it was. I'm not saying it right. For some reason, I always want to say the D, Fernan. There we go. You're French, Fernan. Gabrielle is next, though. Gabrielle, that's our G name. And you know, it's interesting. I mean, I know, so when the National Hurricane Center, I don't think it's midway through the season, but they update their forecast, and they did that in July. I was surprised they nudged the numbers up a little bit. Especially because we're going to continue to lean El Nino, La Nina neutral at least until the first half of December, the first half of winter. All indications are that we might get a very weak and a very brief La Nina for the first half of winter before going neutral again. So, I mean, I know the dust from the Sahara Desert is kind of tapered off a bit, and I know that's, that was a big factor for the slow start. But there's also, there's other factors too, though. Gabrielle, sounds like trouble. Well, as much trouble as Andrea. Yeah. Andrea was very, that was a pitiful storm. A names, just setting the bar low as always. Hey, Dominic, don't worry. We'll make it up during the Snowmageddons. Dude, Dominic, we're overdue for a Snowmageddon, man, but I don't... Our chances might be a little higher this winter compared to last winter, but I'm afraid... I haven't looked extensively at it yet, and we have to get closer, but I have a feeling we might be a little drier again. I mean, initially at first glance, I feel a little more inclined to go slightly higher with my snow ranges than I did last year, just because the polar vortex, at least, it's going to be in a weaker phase, where it was in a stronger phase last season. But interestingly enough, for whatever reason, the polar vortex wasn't doing its usual job keeping the cold air locked up. It wasn't behaving normal. I remember reading a climate blog about it from the CPC, and it was a very interesting read. I believe it was in mid to late January. So we'll see. Maybe since didn't do its job, maybe it is going to be a very comparable winter with, a start with La Nina and then neutral. I mean, that's barely enough time for the big picture pattern to adjust. I think we are going to be in for some variability. The question is, what is that going to mean for us? And does it mean snow for us? And, obviously the answer is not necessarily. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see where ocean temperatures are at heading into November. I think that'll be a big factor. And to see if an Atlantic cool phase actually is developing. I think that's going to be pretty telling. I think we're going to keep the cool phase of the Pacific Decadal Oscillation, which might help us with those cool shots. It can often act like a La Nina. It might have slightly more influence. In the absence of it, I think that's what helped probably at times where the polar vortex wasn't quite doing its job. Maybe that's what helped edge it out just a little bit, but we'll see. There's a lot. With a weak La Nina, unstable polar vortex. Like I said, we are setting ourselves up for variability, but we had that. We had the cold last year, and the polar vortex, like I said, it was strong, but it didn't do what a strong polar vortex usually does. There was a disconnect. So it was really a fascinating, oops, here I am hitting my phone and breaking things. It was a fascinating read, it truly was. But yeah, I'll keep you updated as we get more towards it. But obviously La Ninas, they do favor some drier conditions in spots. I believe it's particularly the Ohio Valley, though, not necessarily the East Coast, but we are close enough to the Ohio Valley that our western spots could have a little influence there. So, there is some trade-off. We're kind of right in the middle of the transition between the effects. So it's a great place to be here in South Central PA. Never a dull moment, I'll tell you that much here. But we'll see. We'll see where everything goes. In the short term, though, I think we're just going to stay mostly dry. I don't think we're going to not get any rain at all. I think we'll have some rainier days in September. Unfortunately, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of reason for just any real shift in, above average. I would love for there to be an above average precipitation shift, but I'm just not seeing any signals or feeling that we're going in that direction, unfortunately. I think it might just be more, status quo, a little bit of rain here and there, but nothing to write home about. Maybe not like a 2-week dry stretch, but we'll hope, fingers crossed. Maybe a tropical system will, like I said, come and help us out here because we could certainly use it. All right, circling back here to the 7-day forecast, give you one last look at it in case you missed it, because we just like to give it right off the bat and get to the stuff you all want to see right away. Temperatures hovering near 80 through the middle of the week, slightly closer to average Wednesday. The average will be 82 starting tomorrow. Today's the last day that the average is 83 degrees, just to point that out, because I always make sure that the average low and high is on our 7-day. Average low, though, 63. Lows rarely get a lot of love as far as following, at least, okay. I'll admit I don't care about lows as much as I care about highs, but I always try to make sure that when lows are, you know, notable, that we are giving it a little bit of attention. And the lows have been obviously much cooler than average, anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees on average each day in the last week or so, and that is pretty significant. I think I haven't seen the monthly climate data yet. I don't believe that'll be, I don't think the NWS will put that out until tomorrow, the State College NWS, but I'll keep you guys posted on that. We might actually end August a little on the cool side for this time of year. Believe it or not, we were half a degree below average as far as the average temperature goes for August last year. So it's not like, you know, oh, it's been so long since we've had a cool summer. Or a cool August, a cool summer month. I mean, you know, it's not unusual. It just wasn't our time. It was other people's time to be warmer than average. And you know what? I'm not mad about that and the way it ended, for sure. Showers, of course, this is pretty much our next big chance for rain. We might have to eye something spitting out Friday and Saturday, but I haven't felt moved just yet. We'll watch the trends for that, though. So far, it looks like next weekend, first weekend of September, will be good. So with that said, I am a little afraid a big Bermuda high is going to try to slow up the cool air trying to get in. I've noticed that that's been trying to expand when I look at the big picture pattern in the 6 to 10 day range. So I think that's why there might be a little bit of legs to warmer Friday and possibly a warmer Saturday. My first gut instinct was to put Saturday at like an 80, 81, but I wanted to take baby steps with this just to see if maybe we would shift back in the next 24 hours or so. It's the way forecasting can be sometimes. But I am afraid that the Bermuda high out in the Atlantic will come in a little too strong, so the cool bursts of air from Canada won't be able to dig as much. It'll get into the Great Lakes, but then go to the northeast and not quite settle down far enough in the mid-Atlantic. Will still be cool, but maybe it's not going to be as cool. So we'll keep an eye on that. Either way, more comfortable air will get in, and it's just a matter of how quickly at this point. I just felt like with the numbers I was looking at, I did have to go milder Friday, and as much as I hate to bump by like 3 degrees, I think this was actually what I have. I had 70, gosh, I had 77. I originally wanted 77 for Saturday, but I went 76. And go figure, just to have to bump Saturday to, what'd I do, 79 today. And then I did end up going all the way into the low 80s. I mean, that's the way the trends have been going, looks like, through the weekend. So, I mean, if it trends enough, that's just the way you gotta go. And if the pieces are there. So I'll keep an eye on it regardless. There might be some changes. It just all depends on the timing and how this cool air gets resolved. And if, you know, the ridging out west is enough to push the cool air in, but will the, you know, Bermuda high come in strong enough, quick enough to kind of push it from digging too far into our area? It just, from what I was seeing on the models this afternoon, it looked like it was trying, but maybe, just maybe it won't quite get to us. We'll see. We'll keep you posted. But that's all I got for now, everybody. If you have any questions, I don't really see any additional crazy questions that are popping up here. But, yes. Gotta go. Bye, Jason. Oh, boy, a crash. All right. Frag is out. Ooh, sounds interesting. You have a fun night, Jason. And then Nelson, yes, such a crazy summer for sure. Well, I'm going to let it go here, guys. We'll end it. I wish you a great rest of your holiday weekend. Be sure to join us for Fox 43 News at 10. Luckily, we're airing on time tonight. No delayed newscast for any reason, at least not to my knowledge. I asked, I was told no, so if I'm wrong, blame somebody else. It wasn't me. I'm relaying information. And, you know, keep you posted through the week. Have a great, safe rest of your holiday weekend and a good back to work, because I know sometimes coming off a holiday weekend, it's just not easy. Happiest of Labor Days. I will be putting the labor in Labor Day. Hopefully you'll join us tomorrow at 4, 5, and 10.